Welcome to Heat Check. This is the top 10 highest selling vintage denim items on eBay over the last 2 weeks. Let's dig into the list. We kick off the list like we normally kick off the list, probably 9 times out of 10 with a 501. This one is a really good size, 36-33. We've got Big E Redline selvage, probably most likely from the 60s we have. You can see there is a V-stitch on this guy. We have a blown out pocket, which definitely affects the price. But still a pretty good pair of jeans. We have the centered belt loop as well. There's the Big E. Watch careful with that knife. You don't want it to cause too much damage. There is a patch, which, you know, it's hard to come by. It is a little faded, but that's just fine. So beautiful pair of 501s. We do see these rather often, but still, you can't tire of seeing really good jeans. Notice here that this is interesting. They titled it 36-33, but the actual measurements are 33 by 29.5, which is a great size as well. But got to be careful with listing it like this because people don't always read past the listing title. So anyway, this one sold for $860 with 27 bids. Then at number 9, we have this 1980 near dead stock Levi's 501 selvage redline jeans, 33-36. That's a very large or very tall jean, probably tallest they make them standard. So pretty awesome here. These are obviously shrink to fit, so these would shrink down once washed, but these apparently have not been washed. So that again is always hard to come by because unwashed shrink to fit jeans, you know, are super high in demand. Here we can take a look. There's the front side, the back side giving us 1206 is the factory code in this case. Definitely a beautiful pair of 501s from 1980, not that old, but still sold for $930 with 16 bids. That just goes to show you what a good pair of new attack or dead stock jeans will do from this era. At number 8, we have another pair of 501s, which, you know, we just get used to seeing lots of 501s on this list, but this one is pretty cool. It is pretty damaged, actually. Kind of surprised, to be honest, with the price, and because this is probably late 60s. It says, you know, 60s. You can see, I believe I looked and I did not see a V-stitch, so we're definitely looking at like late 60s on this one. Still a great pair, a super, you know, wearable, beautiful pair, but the condition and it being like late 60s, kind of surprised that it did go for $969, which is the price it sold for. But you know, if somebody sees it and they want it, that's what they're gonna get. It's a pretty good size too, so it's not a, you know, out of the box size. So cool sale here and a good pair of jeans. At number 7, we have a 1950s Lee chore jacket. Measurements are, and then they give us the measurements. Kind of, you know, probably not the best SEO here, but I guess it worked because they did get a good price on this. 1950s Lee chore jackets don't often make this list, but this is kind of interesting because it has some sort of, I think, sort of university connection, probably some sort of fraternity or some collegiate club or something. I don't really know. If you recognize any of this imagery that's painted on the back, drop it in the comments below. I know this university college stuff was very common in the 50s, and you know, designers like Polo Ralph Lauren or Ralph Lauren will often use this sort of paint design on a modern designer jean. So I know that's definitely in style. So that definitely puts it high on this list, and it did sell for $1,200. So definitely a good sale here, higher than a normal chore jacket. So I do believe this probably helped quite a bit. So really interesting sale for sure. At number 6, we have this pair of 551 ZXX hidden rivet jeans. They say from the 60s, but I think it's possible these are from the late 50s, but maybe early 60s as well. Offset belt loop there you see. We have the Big E, obviously, coming down here. They took a lot of good pictures, which is really helpful. You should always do that. There's the V-stitch. It is a Conmar zipper. which probably would be like early 60s or late 50s. Gripper zipper was common on these in the 60s as well. So yeah, great, beautiful pair of jeans and really good size, 36-28. It's a very good size. Looks like the buyer was really wanting 1600, but these ended up going for 1200. And interestingly enough, they did go to one of the contributors to Heat Check, so that's pretty cool. Next up at number 5, we have this 1940s Sears Roebuck strong and reliable denim workwear jacket. Sears and Roebuck don't typically make the list, but 1940s, this is probably, in the World War II era, probably, considered a World War II denim. So that probably explains the sale price. I do believe this is Sears and Roebuck's first visit to the Heat Check top 10. I could be wrong, I can't remember exactly, but beautiful jacket nonetheless. Look at the good color still left, not a lot of damage. They do show maybe a little bit of wear down here, but it's almost just aesthetic at this point. It's so cool looking. Maybe some paint. This just like screams barn find to me. There's something white, like an old like patch that was on the inside, maybe a Union patch perhaps. Maybe there's maybe that's where Sears put the label. Some damage along the seams, but nothing too scary. This one is sold for $1,284.99 with 13 bids. Alright, at number 4, we have this 1960s Levi's 505 dead stock. But notice selvage here. We have really interesting. The 505s are hard to come by in selvage. But another interesting thing about this pair of jeans is we've got a bunch of names sewn in, I think, to the all across the jeans. My guess is this is like maybe a friend group from like high school, and these were your like graduation jeans or whatever they call it, senior jeans, something like that, senior pants. Similar to the chore jacket we saw, I'm guessing these has something to do with that, but maybe not. But anyway, super interesting. The seller says, it's just sewn in, so you could probably pull it out. Either way, the size for a 505 like this is pretty rare from this era, in size 42. So that's pretty cool. But definitely hard to come by when you're looking for 505s to find them in dead stock like this. So no wonder they sold for $1,500. Now the domination of the 501 continues. Notice we haven't seen a single Type 2, Type 1, Type 3 so far. That's pretty wild, pretty unusual. But a pretty cool pair of jeans here. It seems like a bit overpriced in my opinion and the opinion of some of our contributors. But, size 36 by 28. I wonder if that's the... Let's see. Is that... Do they show the measurements? Maybe they don't. Let's see. Yeah, the measurements actually came out at 36.5 by 28.5, which is actually pretty hard to find, this type of jean in a 36. 36 is not necessarily the most common, and a fairly in-demand size, so pretty good. This is not, you can see there's no V-stitch here. This is probably late 60s pair of jeans. Let's see. Big E. So yeah, this is probably late 60s, early 70s, to be honest. There's a 6 underscored there. So not necessarily the rarest of jeans in terms of model and such and age, but size definitely helps. But this one is sold for $1,675 with 31 bids. So really incredibly high sale for this pair of jeans. All right, at number 2, we have this really interesting, I think, unbranded 1920s, 1930s indigo denim chore coat, railroad coat. It is not Stifle or Lee, but it's similar. It does have a chin strap, so that's definitely a period element that's no longer a thing. But definitely take a look at these. The wear on these sleeves are incredible, super cool looking. Still tons of deep blue left in this jacket. It is hard to find these in this condition. We have the laurel leaf donut buttons that are beautiful. Again, looks like it's folded in some interesting way that gave it a pretty cool pattern. Definitely one of the cooler jackets from this era that we've seen on this list. There was a little bit of debate amongst some of the contributors here as to whether or not this one should take number 1 or the next one. We'll talk about it in a minute. But this one, it did sell for $2,425 with 29 bids. Cool to see the unbranded stuff make the list. Alright, at number 1, we have the only Levi's Type 1 denim jacket on this list. Like I said previously, there was some debate. We weren't entirely sure. At the time, there was not, this seller did not have any feedback. So there was a little bit of a question as to whether or not we were going to consider this. But I do believe it actually did go through, because not only did our research say that it did, they also got a positive feedback on the jacket. So the buyer actually paid and gave them positive feedback. So we do think this did go through at least, and there was a pair of, or a jean jacket shipped. But we have a 501. Nothing particularly crazy different than some of the 501s we normally see. This one may not even be all that great a condition relative to some of the ones we've seen sold on this list before. But still a beautiful Type 1, probably from the sort of later half of, I do not believe it's from 1930s, but from the later half of the Type 1 life. This one is sold for $2,534.99 for the number 1 spot on this week's Heat Check. So that was the top 10 Heat Check this week on this slightly abridged version. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.